Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Good day, my name is Abdul Bari Osman, and I will be reporting about Maragtas. So this is entitled Unveiling the Epic History of Maragtas, a tale of ancient Filipino civilization, exploring the legends and legacy. Today, we are excited to delve into the rich tapestry of Filipino history by exploring the epic saga of Maragtas. Maragtas is not just a story, but a testament to the Filipinos' resilience, courage, and cultural heritage. Join me as we journey back in time to uncover the secrets of Maragtas. Maragtas, or History of Panay. It talks about the first inhabitants and Bornean immigrants, from which the Visayans are descended, to the arrivals of the Spaniards. And it is also important to note that it was published by Kadapig Sanbanwa, who is an advocate of the town, at the El Tiempo Press, Iloilo in 1907, written in Mix Ilagaynon and Kini Iraya. The author have been a native of the border region between these two Visayan dialects. A second edition was published by Maguinaoglingon Press in 1929 and a third edition in 1957 by Sol Hueco under a copyright held by the author's name Juanito L. Monteclaro, in which differs from the original only in a certain orthographic reforms and a more colloquial version of the title. Maragtas serve as a foundational text in Filipino literature and a source of national pride. Maragtas is a legendary narrative that embodies the spirit of Filipino history, culture, and identity. About the writer, it is written by Pedro Alcantara Monteclaro. He was born in Miago, Iloilo on 15th of October 1850, graduated from Seminario Colegio de Jaro in 1865. He served as Teniente Mayor in 1891 and Gobernadorcillo in 1892 and 1894. Also, he became a local hero during the Revolution and the American invasion, both for his leadership and diplomacy. He served as liaison officer during the American occupation of the area. He was the first president of Miagao, 1901 to 1903, and during which period he began the research which resulted in his publication of Maragtas. He was also known as a poet in both the vernacular and Spanish, and a few of his Visayan songs have survived. He actually died on April of 1909 on 13 and is memorialized in the name of the local Philippine Constabulary base, Camp Monteclaro, at whose gate his statue stands. Maragtas or Historia. The author uses Maragtas as Spanish Historia glossed with Visayan Sayuron in 1957. Commentators suggest Sanskrit origin, but present-day Visayan speakers only know it as the title of pre-Hispanic manuscript. Maragtas is an ancient Filipino epic that recounts the migration of Borneoan Datus to the island of Panay. Maragtas is a legendary epic that recounts the migration of 10 Borneoan Datus, or chieftains, and their families to the island of Panay in the Philippines. According to the legend, these Datu from the tyranny of Datu Makatunaw, the ruler of Borneo, and sought refuge in the fertile lands of Panay. So, these 10 Datu is Datu Puti, Sumakwel, Bangkaya, Paiburong, Padunghinog, Dumangsol, Dumangsel, Dumaluglog, Bal, Kasusa, and Datu Lubay. The Maragtas consists of 6 chapters and epilogue. The first chapter, it is describes the former costume, clothes, dialect, heredity, organization, and others of the Aitas Panay, with special mention of the heroic Maricudo, son of old chieftain Pulpulan. The chapter 2, it is the narrative of the coming of 10 Datus from Borneo, fleeing the tyranny of the Datu Makatunaw, and their purchase of the island of Panay from Maricudo. The negotiation for settlement between Borneoan Datus and the native Negrito chieftain includes the exchange of a solid gold hat and basin. However, complication arises when chieftain wife Maniwantiwan demands an ankle-length necklace from one of the Borneoan Datus wife as well. In response, the Borneoans add additional items to the agreement, including a bushel of live crabs, a long tusked boar, and a full antlered white deer. The Borneoan Datus mentioned in the passage are Pote, the expedition leader and the relative Makatunaw, who returns to Borneo with his wife Pinangpang, leaving Sumakwel in charge of the Panay settlement. Sumakwel and his wife Kapinangan, later known as Aluyun, whose sister is married to Bangkaya. Bangkaya and his wife Katurong, who settle in Aklan. Their son Balinsanga inherits a speech defect that affects present-day Hilagay non-speakers in the province. Paiburong and his wife Pagulanan, whose sons-in-law seeks revenge by attacking, looting, and killing the Borneoan tyrant. Paduhinog and his wife Ribong Sapaw, Dumangsol and his wife Kabiling, Dumalugtog and Dubay, who are both bachelors, and Valenzuela and Dumangsel, who settle in Taal. This Datu plays a crucial and a significant role in the settlement of Panay and the establishment of communities in various regions, each contributing to the development of the new civilization. On the chapter 3, the romance of Sumakwel, Kapinangan and her lover Gurong-Gurong. The tale revolves around a cuckolded husband who discovers his wife's affair with another man. With the help of his slaves, he hides in the attic above the room where the affair is taking place and spears his rival while they are in the act. The wife, seemingly unaware of her husband's presence, casually remarks about the spear being left in dangerous position. So, the husband's wife, Kapinangan, then dismembered the body of her lover, Gurong-Gurong, to secretly bury it. As punishment for her action, she is ordered by her husband, Sumakwel, to be drowned in a weighted jar at sea. However, the sea charged with carrying out the execution take pity on her and instead leave her on an unknown island. On the said island, Sumakwel coincidentally arrives and encounters a beautiful named Aloyon, who is revered as a goddess queen by the local Negretos. Ignorant of her true identity, Sumakwel falls in love with Aloyon and marries her, and never realizing that she is her former wife, Kapinangan. On their journey back home, Sumakwel, brother-in-law Bangkaya, saves a woman from a difficult childbirth and is rewarded with seeds. Bangkaya and Sumakwel plant these seeds all over the island, symbolizing the potential for new beginnings and growth. In the chapter 4 concludes the tale of 10 Datus, telling about political arrangements and circumnavigation of the island. In the chapter 5, another anthropological sort treatise describing language, commerce, clothes, marriages, funerals, custom, mourning habits, cockfighting, timekeeping, techniques, and calendars and personal characteristics. On the chapter 6, it gives a list of Castilian officials between 1637 and 1808. An epilogue contains a few 18th century dates of Miagao. So, this proof that is true. This passage highlights various sources and references to the heroes of Maragtas epic in Panay folklore and beyond. Dr. Juancio Orandain, who grew up in a town founded by Dato Sumakwel, recalls childhood and admonition against laziness, citing the great lawgiver who punished laziness and rewarded hard work. A haunted clump of bamboo planted by Dr. Orandain is still pointed out in the area, the rock called Imbadayan on the Iloilo coast. It is believed that San Joaquin residence to be the meeting place where the island of Panay was bartered away by the Negretos. Paiburong is mentioned in the Hinilawed, a folk epic recorded by F. Landa Jucano by Solid people, who still practice jar burial and bone washing. Aloyon's name is preserved in the name of Riverside Barrio between Hamtec and San Jose. Both Bangkaya and Paduhinog are commonly family names in Capiz and Iloilo, and Bangkaya is also a deity supplicated and solid prayers. From Mindanao comes the name of Dato Bangkaya, a Maguindanao ruler whose third son was living in 1597. His mother, according to Muslim Tarsilas, was a billion woman found in a crow's egg. Kaya is a widespread Indonesian and a Malay name, and a Bangkaya is an old Borneoan title. A Brunei legend tells how Borneoan Sultan Bulkia made Philippine conquest in the early 16th century, settling out with a ganta of pepper seeds to each, which he gave the name of an island resembling Maragtas Datu Bangkaya's collection of seeds. So, in addition, Augurio Paguntalan, a local servant, points out the spot in San Jose where Dato Sumakwel supposedly met his death in quicksand.
Assalamualaikum and good day to everyone. I'm Hajra Simakar and here to front of you to discuss the next slide. For additionally, a Negrito legend suggests that the first encounter between the Borneans and the native people within the individual named Salukot, meaning hat in Filipino. The people of Barrio Aloyan believe that their barrio is named after Sumakwel's wife, Kapinangan, who is settled there under the name after her husband cast her out aside for impunity. According to the document titled Primitivos Habitantes di Cabatuan, Dulon was named as the original proprietor of Panay with his son Abras, selling it to Jumad and Jumadap, regarded as ancestors of the Visayan race. However, the sale did not include the bank of the rivers as specified in the same document. This legend persisted among Aklan Negritos as late as 1965, with some humorously noting that their ancestors did not include the river banks in the sale when jokingly challenged about encroachment on the land sold to Visayans. Folklore from other Negrito informants include Tan Martin, a former Aita chief tales, suggests that the actual barter took place not on the seacoast but in the central Iloilo, specifically in what now the municipality of Duanes. But Moniclaro himself must have been run into such discrepancies because his publisher says, according to the author, this Maragtas should not be considered as containing facts, all of which are accurate and true, but many of his data do not tally with what we hear from old men. And Chapter 2 and 3 of Maragtas are a strict narrative based on a mid-19th century document. Translated into Spanish by Father Thomas Santarin Osa, they are published as Historia de los primeros datos y procedentes de Borneo poblaron estas islas, also known as History of the first datos coming from Borneo populated the island. As Appendix 3 of the 1902, Igoretes, Estudio Geográfico y Etnográfico sobre algunos distritos del norte de Luzon. Both chapters share the exact details of Kapingan's affair with Kurong-Kurong, as romance that was unknown to Orindain in his childhood. Monteclaro's publisher claimed that the discarded sources of this work came from friars who tried to keep a record of their experiences on the island. Father Santarin's translated document narrates the story of the 10 datos, their island occupation of Negritos, and their marital issues. It includes over 153 place names and references into a genealogical third document. The document, characterized by repetitions, abrupt subject changes, incomplete plot, development, and lack of planning, is old and lost. Now let's proceed to the next slide. The differences between Maragtas and Historia. The differences between Maragtas and Historia was first, the Maragtas introduced new characters with necessary biographical identification, while for Historia often mentioned their names after they played some parts in narrative. Second column from Maragtas cite municipalities and province and apparent contradictions in the name of the original settlement, and for the Historia, for the second column, presupposes the reader's prior knowledge and places. For the third column, for Maragtas, it's imaginative passage, while for Historia, it's a simple statement, while in Maragtas, romance is everywhere. It is important to note that the Monteclaro extensive Maragtas style result from descriptions of clothes, ornaments, weapons, food, dances, and musical instruments of the prevailing parties. The full story of exact details occur only in these two documents, making it difficult to doubt a common source. A Historia de los Prometidos Datos could have been written or dictated by the Filipino as late as the half of the 19th century. The entire Maragtas, with two exceptions, could have been written between 1901 to 1907, about only a list of government officials and Father Santarin's translations. Now let's proceed to the Confederation of Madias. It is an account of 7 resolutions adopted by the 7 Panay Datos as a political constitution. The resolution include remaining the island of Madias divided into among the senior 3 and allowing no taxes except for our religious contributions every 7 years. The Maragtas is the oldest political constitution in Asia. It is considered authentic due to its preferment of Spanish polity. However, the author of Maragtas provides no information about his sources, including the date and provenance of the document. The conservative Filipino group using the pre-Hispanic script has no tradition of recording history or legal decisions, and there is no Spanish records in indigenous literacy in Panay. Now let's proceed to the next slide, the Maragtas Code. It is a significant passage of Historia de los Primeros Datos detailing social custom, design equivalents of the days of the week, and dialect differences. It includes the 4 strengthened sanction of those too lazy to work. First is banding over to the wealthy until they reform. Second, being cast out of the society to live in negritos and breed half-caste offspring. Third, practicing polygamy until population control become necessary. Third, drowning children of those too poor to support them. Fifth, punishing unwritten adultery by death or disinheritance. Sixth, the cutting of thieves' finger. These customs are not phrased as a law, but as expressed in the subjective terms. The Code of Samacuelba Orindain has been legislative rephrasing of the Maragtas. Guillermo Santiago Cunha's El Código de Maragtas in 1938 is a parallel of the Maragtas Code, but the title is suspect due to no evidence of origin. The Maragtas Code shall be dated in the fourth decade of the 20th century. And now let's proceed to the next slide. Use of Maragtas by historians. The Maragtas, a pre-Hispanic document in the Philippines, was not widely used by Philippine historians before the Japanese occupation. However, after the national independence, a renewed interest in Maragtas was gained with references to it being made by Spanish-speaking elites. An English translation of the Maragtas was prepared during the Japanese occupation and later published by the Philippine Executive Commission in 1943. This myth was further supported by anthropologist Tom Harrison, who published the Current Translation in 1957. The Maragtas has also been subjected to criticism for its association with the Historia de los Primeros Datos, a historical document that Monteclaro adulterated with Spanish words. Now, in 1948, Miss Aurora Inson submitted an English translation of the part of the Hiligaynon manuscript, which was later deemed a forgery. In 1955, Mr. Jose E. Marco offered to negotiate the sale to the original Monteclaro manuscript between the author's granddaughter and in the University of Chicago's Philippine Studies program. The Maragtas has also received literary attention, with Recaredo de Melio using it in his 1959 prize-winning poem, Barter in Panay, and Dr. Orendain publishing Ten Datos of Madian in 1963. Over the years, Maragtas has been subjected to various interpretations and adaptations, reflecting the evolving narrative of Filipino identity and nationhood. Scholars, historians, and artists have been exploring themes of migration, settlement, and cultural exchange, offering new insight into the complexity of Filipino history. It is crucial to remember that speculation on the date of the legendary Bornean migration have been taken 3 different points of departure, none of which have provide productive. Some argue that the migration must take place before the introduction of Islam in Bornean, while others suggest that Dato Puti and Dato Bangkaya were Muslim. In conclusion, the Maragtas epic is a significant Philippine literary and cultural artifact, illustrating the migration of Bornean Datos to Panay and the foundation of Filipino civilization. It is reflect early Philippine values, traditions, and societal structure, highlighting themes of bravery, unity, betrayal, and redemption. Despite a historical debate, the Maragtas remain a symbol of Filipino identity and resilience, inspiring pride in the diverse heritage of the Filipino people. Before we end this report, we would like to extend our sincere gratitude to all who have taken the time to join us today. Your presence and attention are deeply appreciated as we explore the captivating world of Maragtas epic. As we bring this presentation to a close, we want to express our heartfelt thanks for your engagement, question, and contribution. Your interest in this topic has enriched our discussion and deepened our understanding of the cultural significance of Maragtas. With that, we bid your farewell and extend our best wishes to each of you. Thank you once again for your appreciation, and may the stories of the Maragtas continue to inspire and resonate with all of us. Goodbye and take care.